Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lerret Gets Real. I'm your host, Lerret Jackson. So today I'm here with a few lovely ladies.
My name is Haydee.
Ali, I just spilled some wine on a white shirt.
And
Free.
and today we're going to talk a little bit about love, finding love again, and how love connects to one's happiness. So, Haydee, do you want to start? What do you feel about love in general? Or anything?
I think that for a long time I thought that love was unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that over the past few years that has been really tested in my life, and I don't know if love's unconditional, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around if that is, particularly with family, you know, because family is supposed to be unconditional, and when it's not, it really makes you question what love is supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm. When I think of unconditional love, I think of obviously like you love somebody no matter what. Like there is no reason for you loving them, and there's no reason that you would stop loving them. And I think that I've learned recently too that love has to be conditional, because when you say that you love somebody unconditionally, that means that you're ready to like put your feelings last and not like when somebody comes into your life and they're supposed to love you, you guys are supposed to have an understanding of what you both want and like both of each other's feelings and needs and stuff like that. And when people disrespect that, that's a boundary or a limit that has to be set. And when you don't follow those boundaries or respect those limits that I'm setting, then I can't love you unconditionally. You know what I'm saying? There is a reason that I'm gonna stop loving you.
For sure. I agree.
What do you think? Do you guys think it exists? Do you think...
I think it does.
I think it does exist.
Do you
But
think it should
personally-
exist with like only family, or do you think it should be like...
I think it exists in the type of relationship that it exists in, because you can have family and say, like, there's family that I guess I love because I have to love, but I don't feel love for them because they've never been in a position where I had to feel love for them, or they've never done anything for me that made me feel like I love them. But when you think about family, it's like, oh, you have to love family just because they're related. And then in terms of relationships, love can be conditional, but also, like, you also have to, there's a lot of compromise within relationships. And so sometimes y'all might not feel like y'all love each other. Like, y'all know y'all love each other, but you don't feel it because there's always that period. But knowing, like, the love is there. But, like, the actual feeling of love, I think it comes and goes. And that can come and go, like, very high or very low.
And that's something, I'm glad that you said that, because something that I wanted to talk about, like, in another show, where maybe we can even talk about it now, is, like, when you say you're in love with somebody,
Right.
I feel like everybody changes in periods of time, whether it be every 2 years, every 5 years, whether it's 1 year you change and then the next 5 years you're the same. I feel like everybody changes at some point, right? But when you say you love somebody, sometimes when you're changing, people can't necessarily meet your needs or like be the person that you need them to be at the time of your change. So when we say that we love somebody, does love have to be, I mean, can real love be temporary? Or do you feel like when you actually love somebody, like it never goes away and it can never change? And
Are you talking about a relationship or particularly, or just in friendship relationships?
Well, for me, I felt that way when it came to my mom. And I thought, like, my relationship with my mom never changed. And I think that I realized that me and my mom, for about 3 years now, haven't been able to love each other. And I feel like, for me, it was just a realization that, like, yes, I'm your daughter, and you may care about me, and I may care about you, but that connectedness that me and you have, at least for right now, is gone, because I think she doesn't understand a lot of the choices that I've made, and she hasn't taken the time to in a way, like, love me unconditionally, even with all my shit. Like, and I feel like there's no compromise in how she feels, and it's hard to, like, come to terms with that. But I think that I'm starting to learn that, like.
Now, because she's somebody that you're supposed to love unconditionally, do you think that that love can be like rekindled and refound, like with proper care? Or do you think that at this point it's like you can love her and have love for her, but it'll never be to a point where like...
I think that for me, like, to love her again, I think that I would need to evolve again. And I would need to, or one of us would need to evolve. But I think that if I was just speaking for myself, I would need to change when it comes to being able to let things go and say, I don't care why you made the choices that you made, and I don't care that you don't understand me. But for me right now, at this point, I want to be understood. And I feel like that's what's not being met, and I am refusing to compromise not being understood.
I agree. I agree.
I guess, like, I don't know. I was just thinking about, what do y'all consider unconditional love? Like, honestly. Like,
what do you guys consider unconditional love?
When I hear unconditional love, I think of, and it's not only specifically toward like intimate relationships. I mean all kinds of relationships with a partner, friendships, family, whoever, whatever. Unconditional love for me feels like loving someone or beings or some people despite like flaws and despite mistakes or despite whatever bad choices they decide to make. And that's also iffy because depending on like those mistakes or bad choices, that can hinder your so-called unconditional love that you have for them. But if we're thinking like in a perfect world, well, not a perfect world, but if we're just thinking like, if we're putting a definition on it, it's despite all of like any flaws or mistakes, because people make mistakes, like nobody's perfect. So it's like choosing to love them, and despite that they made this bad decision, and then because you love them, how can you help them overcome this, or like lead them in a way that's gonna allow them to grow for themselves?
When I think of the word condition, I think of like obviously terms and conditions. So basically like I can love you no matter what, but if you cheat on me, under the condition that you cheat on me, you're taking away my love. Under the condition that you disrespect me or my family or my friends, you're taking away that I love you. So I feel like for me, unconditional love is regardless of if you cheat on me or if you hurt me or if you disrespect me or if you lied to me, regardless of all of those limits that I might have or whatever those conditions are, those don't change the way that I love you. But I think that there should be conditions to people's love. Not, I mean, some people like to love unconditionally, but I think that in order for you to have my love, you have to respect me and you have to respect my boundaries and, my feelings.
I agree.
Do you think, like, love within family should be conditional?
Totally.
Totally?
Totally. I feel like, just what I've witnessed with my own relationships with my family, and just what I've little key notes I've put in from other people's stories. And I only speak on like what I've observed from parents with single mothers, but like being a single mom, what am I trying to say? I don't know. When a mother's a single mom, there's no limit to what she'll do for her children or whatever.
That's unconditional love.
That's unconditional love. And as a child, you love your mother unconditionally. But then when you get older and you realize all the things she did were not really the best decisions that she could have made, or, for example, like a mom putting the child of the father's child on child support, but not applying that towards like a college fund or this or that. Like, yeah, it's paying the bills and ultimately providing for the child, but also helping you out and paying your bills. Like, a lot of moms do that. Or when moms or any parents take their children's social security information and identifying information and apply like in credit cards and loans and this and that. Like, I don't know. It's just, I just don't think that's right.
I feel like the only type of unconditional love that really exists, I guess you could say mother and child, but I think that like really pets.
Oh, agreed.
Like somebody said that a while back, and now it like your dog. I mean, besides the fact that you like feed your dog, like your dog doesn't, have a reason to love you, but they still get excited to see you. They still love you no matter what. The dog doesn't do anything for you. Maybe it provides you like happiness and like peace inside, but the dog cannot physically give you anything or do anything for you. So that type of love is unconditional. And the closest thing to that, in my opinion, would just be mother and child. Like unconditional love is you don't do anything for me and I don't do anything for you, but I love you to death. I don't know. Or even if you couldn't do anything for me, I still love you. What do you think, Brianna? You've been kind of quiet.
I guess it's like a mutual agreement for me. Like unconditional love to me is a mutual agreement. So, like, when a mom decides to have a child, because like they have the option to not have a child. Like they know they have the option. You know what I'm saying? Like they know, and sometimes they don't know they have the option. But then sometimes, like, depending on the situation, if someone is deciding to have a child, when they're having it, they want to love them. Like, they want that love. And sometimes some people, they want the love of a child. Because they know a love of a child is unconditional. So they know the love is limitless. So they try to be limitless for their child. And sometimes certain circumstances might not make it for them. So, like, I feel like based on environment and stuff like that, it's like, it might be hard for someone to, like, have that type of love for their parents, because they might think, oh, why are my friends doing this and I'm not doing this? Why am I getting this and you're not getting this? And like, why do I feel like my mom's not doing this? And like, I feel like sometimes, like, for me, like, what I think about is like what my mom goes through. So my mom, I know she unconditionally loves me, because no matter what, even though I tell her all the time, it's like, why do you have kids? Like, why did you have kids? Like, why did you have me? Like, I tell her all the time. And one day she just sat there and she told me, she was like, I had you for a reason. And she's like, no matter what, I love you. Like, I might be going through shit, like, no matter what, like, the shit I go through and the shit I put you through and, like, whatever it is, I still love you. Like, and, like, my mom just lets me know, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, you sit here and, like, sometimes you think, like, why me, and why this, why that. She always sits there, she should be like, how about you ask the questions of, like, why not me? Like, why not you have a shitty day? Like, why not you be that person to take that on? Like, it's a cycle. And I don't know, for me, like, when it comes to love, like, I don't know. I know my mom and dad loves me and they show it differently because they're Jamaican. That's their culture. Second of all, my mom did not have a strong relationship with her mother. Third of all, I know they have, like, all these various different problems, and she was in the same position as me where she was the oldest child. So I just know my mom loves me unconditionally, just for the fact that two things. One, she wants me to be successful. She pushes me hard enough to be successful. Two, even though she doesn't give me everything I wanted, like, you know how, like, you're those little kids, you're like, oh my god, I wanted this, and blah, 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 blah. I accept the fact that my mother cannot provide me with an iPad every 2 weeks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't get the newest upgrade. I didn't get a phone until I was, like, 18 in college. Like, I know my mom, like, it wasn't happening. And then I just know that, those little things that she does for me, calling me, checking up on me, and those kind of things, is her way of showing love. My mom and I never said we love, like, I love you to each other. Like, she would never say that to me. I love you. I love you. And then just recently, like, all the time we were on the phone, she's like, I love you, Brie. I'm like, I love you too, Mom. Like that. So I think it develops over time, but it develops in a certain way where because before I used to be like that person who, like, resented my mom. And my grandma sat me down and was like, what the fuck are you doing? That's your mother. Fucking love her. She's doing a lot for you. Like, you don't sit there and resent your mother, because that's the person who has your back for some reason. Like, no matter what you're going through, she was like, I could be a vindictive grandmother. Just remember that shit. Your mother got your back. There's a difference. Yeah. So I just think of it like that. Like, no matter what my mom does or what she tries to do or what she goes through, like, I just think of what she has gone through and then see how that affects me in my life. But that depends, because it depends on how you guys communicate, like, with your family. Like, do y'all talk to your families about, like, how you're, like, if you have aunts and stuff, do you ask them, like, how was mommy growing up? You know? Like,
yeah, well, for me, my mother is the only child, and my father has a brother, but, like, they weren't really close, so it's like I've never really been in his presence. So, like, I talk to my mother about everything, and I guess me understanding, like, she's never asked me to understand or, like, you know, try to get pity from me. But in talking to her and in seeing her and her being a single mother and doing whatever, I guess I've grown an appreciation for, like, the things that she's done. But, like, what you said, I don't know. I had a question about what you said. My question was, even in, like, okay, like, you said you used to resent your mom.
Yeah.
But you said that, like, talking to your grandmother and seeing your mother's, like, circumstances, et cetera, allowed you to come out of that. Yeah. Do you think that love can be refound with people? Like, can you truly...
Can you find unconditional love? Is that what you're asking me?
Like, can you love somebody for them, but, like, not love them anymore? Or fall... Like, I'm talking about families and relationships. So maybe you either fall out of love, or there's things that you see that lead up to family members. You decide that you don't love them anymore. You don't care about them anymore. Is there a way that real...
different. Because, like, I'm not going to lie.
Family
there's always... I don't know if y'all know that saying, like, blood is thicker than water, but the only thing I could think about
but
is,
why is your
like,
mom, like, any different from that category?
What do you mean?
Like, just because she's my mom, why do I have to love her? Why do I have to, like, you know, like, understand?
I guess it depends on, like, everyone's situation, but I don't know, for me, when I think of things, blood is thicker than water. All I know is no matter what, like, I know the fact, when I think of people, I think of them in categories. Like, you know who the people you, like...
What you mean, like, best friends, acquaintances?
No. Like, okay, for example, no matter what, this is how I think of people. And I always think of them like this. You have your friend who you could trust to help you out and bail you. Like, if you're in jail, they're going to bail your ass out. Then you have your friend who you know you're going to just go have a good time with and just be, like, you know, rely on. That's like family. You know the family member who has your back and is ready to, like, help you bail you, has the money to bail you out at all times, is not going to question it.
So you feel like you keep people, like, you feel like you take people, like, you love everybody unconditionally, but you take them as they are. So, for example, like, everybody's your family, so you love them all no matter what, but you know you can't fuck with her a certain way because, she moved like this, and you like, love this, so you know you can...
So the way I see it is that you accept people for their flaws and actions. Like, no matter what, you accept them for their flaws and actions.
My mom feels that way.
Because the way I think about it is, like, for me to always hammer somebody and always try to change them, what are the chances that they're going to change? So, for example, if my dad is... I'm going to say this. If my dad likes to cuss every 2 weeks about whatever he wants to cuss about, right? Maybe that's the way he just interacts with himself in the world. I don't know. But I feel like me always hounding someone, why can't I accept them for who they are and what they have to bring to the table?
I want you to answer that, but here's my one thing, because my mother is like that. Like, she always tells me, like, Lily, you have to accept people for who they are and you take them for what they are. But it's like, for me, it's like, she's the type of person that if she comes into encounter with somebody, she's gonna, like, accept them and take them in no matter what. But I'm the type of person, like, if I don't like shit you do, I'm not gonna force myself to be around you and accept you and mold myself to, like, deal with you a certain type of way. It's like I'm an all-in or an all-out type of person. And if I don't like you or if I don't like things you do, I'm not gonna accept them just because. Just like I don't expect anybody to accept me more or less because I'm me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not your cup of tea, then I can respect that. You make your friends. But it's like I don't want somebody to be around me and try to, like, mold me or shift the way that they act around me compared to other people because I'm me. Like,
I wouldn't say I changed who I am for someone else, because I'm not changing me. But what I can say is I accept everyone's flaws for what they are, because nobody's fucking perfect.
Nobody's perfect, yeah.
That's the fucking
But
honesty.
there's
No
also
one's
honesty.
perfect.
There's also honesty in the fact that certain people just don't connect. Certain people just
yeah,
don't click.
some people
And if
just
you
don't
just don't
connect.
click with that person, I don't feel that I have to accept them or change my preferences or my expectations because they've come into my life and I don't like what they do, but I should just take them no matter what. Like,
and are you saying that also applies to family as well?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And my mother doesn't agree with that, but I do. Like, I have to love you. There's nothing I can do to change that I love you, because I might hate the shit out of you. But if I see somebody on the street, you know, popping on you or trying to, then automatically, because you're my family, it's like love and defense that it's like automatic.
I do something to
But
help you, yeah.
I still don't fuck with you on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What you thinking?
I feel like no matter who you are, whether you're my mother, my sister, my significant other, my friend, if I find that your actions or the way that you move in this world jeopardizes who I am as a person, I can't fuck with it.
I agree.
Like,
But why would you let someone's actions jeopardize what you're doing in the world?
But why, if I
If
know
you
that
know
they
how
make
that
me feel
person-
a way,
if you know how that person moves, right? This is where I get a little, because if you know how somebody moves, right? If you know somebody's sketchy,
because I'm not gonna lie to myself.
why would you?
I'm not gonna lie.
That's not a lie. You know the person's doing that shit.
but if I know that they're doing that shit and I
don't.
don't like it, I'm not gonna keep
fuck
trying.
with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not gonna keep going
my
back.
mother, like my mother's my mother.
Yeah.
But I will never, and this is my thing with her, I will never sit down and say to myself, I am going to take this money from this man, and that man, knowing very well that one, she's not putting this money away for her children. She spends this money. Whoever she's doing this to can't feed themselves at the end of the week. Her knowingly doing this it's just disgusting. It's so immoral. It's so inhumane. And I could never deal with that. Like, I feel like as a person, I am a person who has morals, and I would never in my life be greedy enough to say, I'm gonna pretend like I need this money for my children and then just spend it on yourself. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I cannot, like, just witnessing my father's life and witnessing how, like, she was willing to even do that to her own daughter. When my dad passed away, when my dad passed away, I had to do my dad's taxes. And after I did my dad's taxes, and she waited until I was the last person to do the taxes, my taxes and my dad's. She decided that she was gonna put me on her taxes, which is completely fine because I live with my mother. But she put my little sister on my stepfather's taxes.
Do you know why she did that?
Because she wanted her fiance to get more money. But the thing is, it's immoral because my dad paid $1,200 in child support every single month.
So,
And for you to do that, and then have your fiance let me finish this statement. Have your fiance make this much more money in tax refunds for this one season. It's so messed up because I ended up owing taxes, and for me to see that she was willing to do that to her own daughter, not even to her partner, her ex-partner, her own daughter, was immoral to me, and I cannot fuck with that. I cannot fuck with someone who
Puts themselves before their kids.
Yeah, like I just, and it's not even just money. It's not just about money. It's just about
the principle.
how you move in this world, and I just can't do it.
I agree. You shouldn't deal with it, or just because if you don't like it and she's your mother, she can be your mother from a distance.
Right.
I agree.
And like And I feel like even like there's like even if it wasn't that, there's just like little things. Like my mom has never been up here, and I do not blame her because it's expensive to come up here and to rent a hotel. But what I do find despicable is that like she asks me to come. Like my first year when I came to college, like she asked me to come home for Christmas, and she told me to take a flight. She bought my flight, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick you up." And then literally the night prior to that, she was like, "I'm not picking you up. Find your way home." So it's just like
flakiness,
morally things,
things that you should be able to depend on her for. You can't, and that makes you not trust her or like want to be around her. And I agree. If people do things you don't like, you shouldn't have to put yourself in a position. If somebody's gonna compromise your energy, your feelings, your thoughts, no matter what it is, I don't think that you should put yourself around them. Okay, like me, I don't want to be around people I don't like, because if I don't like you, like it's like you might not necessarily be affecting me as a person, but it's like if I don't want to be around you, naturally I just feel like, why am I here? Like there's no need to be fake. If I don't want to be around you, if I don't like you, no, I'm not gonna put myself in a position to be around you to constantly be like, oh, I want to go home. Oh, why is she speaking? Oh, I'm tired. You know, it's like, it's stupid. But
the people I hang out with are people that I like. So I don't hang out with people I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between where I just don't fuck with you and where I fuck with you because I see you're a good person. But there's just some things that you've probably grown up around, like your environment has made you move that way. You understand? And you just have to understand some people move differently than others.
Based on
so, for example, no one has the same morals as me, and no one is going to have the same morals as me. Because whatever I think is right is not what other person sitting next to me, whoever this is, the W next to me, is not going to think it's right. You get what I'm saying? So, and that's how like life is. So, for example, if you're talking to somebody in your class, and they tell you like, oh, killing people is right, you're gonna look at them like, what? Killing people is wrong.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Everyone has different morals. That's a little extreme, exact.
And I guess I understand.
But I guess that's what the type of like. I guess that's where like the development of. I'm not gonna lie. I looked up what unconditional love is to make sure like I'm not saying this wrong, but like that's where I feel like unconditional love comes from. It depends on like where their morals lie, and what they want to be, and who they want to be. You know,
that's a great way to like sum this up.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, with anything regarding unconditional love, looking for love in the future, rekindling love in the past, let's go around and say something that we feel about unconditional love. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Allie.
Just smoking right now, clearly.
What is the textbook definition to
unconditional love?
Oh, what I looked up?
Yeah.
It just means sorry.
I just feel like.
Do you want to know it?
Yeah, go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, not
no, right before.
Ali
the definition, unconditional love.
I know Ali. She doesn't like to be interrupted. You see, that's what I'm talking about. You gotta know the people around you. I know you.
I love you.
See, exactly. That's the shit I'm talking about. You gotta know what they offer. Like,
I love you, love.
Okay.
Haydee, you far, but you know that love is there.
It's okay. I don't need much love.
Yes, you do.
I'm sorry.
Everybody needs love.
Flip this table. You better flip
Everybody
it around.
needs love. Hold on, you went to the Wikipedia. Google don't got the definition hot and ready for you? Oh, okay.
All right.
Unconditional love.
But this one gave a deeper
You
definition
got a
and like examples.
I'm gonna stand in this corner right here because
We could just go because it's about to touch 30 minutes. So.
All right. Well. Wait. Do you want to end it at 30?
Like we could end a little bit over 30, but
It's the same shit.
right, yeah.
Oh, okay. We're closing out now.
Yes, we're closing out, guys.
Oh God, I was stuck on the radio. I'm sorry to my imaginary fans.
I can't do this.
Okay. Are you high though?
No.
All right. All right.
No, I
So.
wrote this down.
So yeah. So I'm just trying to get my thoughts out, and I keep losing what I'm gonna say. I just feel like You should be able to not love who you don't want to love.
Mm-hmm.
Without feeling guilty.
Is that love?
Love is
love
not
everyone.
forever.
And love is not.
If you ask
everyone
if that's love, then that means that all love should be unconditional, or that all love is
Wait,
unconditional.
you hear what her statement was? Say it again.
You should be able to not love who you don't want to love. There are some people in my family that I don't want to love.
Like
I don't-
unconditionally.
No, I don't want to love at all. I want it to be strangers.
And even
Like
that
you
love
don't
can
like
be
them.
conditional.
Yeah.
Family love can be conditional.
It's not about not liking them. It's just about it's so toxic in that environment
Mm-hmm.
that I need to physically remove myself from it so that I can flourish.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever done that.
Right. Unconditional love is known as affection without any limitations or love without conditions. This term is sometimes associated with other terms such as true altruism or complete love. Each area of expertise has a certain way of describing unconditional love, but most will agree that it is the type of love which has no bounds and is unchanging. It is a concept that is comparable to true love, a term which is generally used to describe love between lovers. Unconditional love is also used to describe love between family members, camaraderies, whatever, in arms and between others in highly committed relationships. An example of this is a parent's love to their child. No matter a test score, a life-changing decision, an argument, or a strong belief, the amount of love that remains between this bond is seen as unchanging and unconditional. So, with that being said,
But wouldn't
go ahead.
it be based on perspective then?
Think
about it.
No, I don't think that that's necessarily perspective, because yeah, everybody has different boundaries and limitations, but
Are you
the
thinking about it?
I'm playing with
Uh,
this part.
I feel like everybody has bounds and limitations,
Yeah.
but the idea that no matter what type of love you have does not change, and the bond that you have with somebody does not change, that principle, that concept is not really like tangible. Like,
What I just started thinking about. In order for
Sorry.
unconditional love to work, y'all both need to have come to that conclusion.
Hey,
you've come to the conclusion that what?
You both are gonna, no matter what, love each other unconditionally. My partner this morning woke up and he said, "Promise me that no matter what happens, our love will only get stronger."
But see, that's not a fair thing to say. I noticed that years later. I mean, that's just not, because people change. Love changes. Like, you can
Right,
say
I think
today that I'll love you
unconditional-
forever,
I think
but things
unconditional
change.
love is when someone
And that's not a
Shows
fair
your
commitment,
commitment
because
to
when
love.
one person, now God forbid, it might be, there are people who fall in love and stay in love forever.
But I'm not talking about it, and I'm saying this because it's a very explicit way of demonstrating it. But what I'm trying to say is that, yes, it doesn't need to be said in that way, but y'all both need to come to that agreement. If one person is not feeling it, then it's not gonna work. Y'all both need to be on the same page on whether or not this is something that
what
y'all
if
are willing
you're-
to work towards.
What if you're... So the way I'm thinking it as, you know how mother loves a child?
Mm-hmm.
What if your mother loves you unconditionally, but you don't love your mother unconditionally?
Which is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that it necessarily.
So
like,
what kind of love does the mother have then?
Well,
It's
the mother's love is
conditional
not always conditional.
Well-
It's not always unconditional. I feel like my mom's love is conditional, and which is why my love for
Is-
her has become conditional.
Right, but I don't think that your love depends on the other person. Like, there's such
Yeah,
thing
I
as
don't think
unrequited
love
love.
does-
Like,
yeah, love
people
does not
fall in
depend
love
on
with
the other
people, and the
person.
person does not
Yeah,
care
it
about
doesn't
them
love
back or
them
love them
back.
back. So it's like, I can love you unconditionally, and you
Right.
can love me, but you might not love me. You still might feel like, if I do this, it's gonna change the way you love me.
Exactly.
But I might feel like, no matter what she does, I still love her, and so you might come to the agreement that, yes, we love each other. Yes, no matter what, we're gonna stick together. That's a commitment to one another. It's a commitment to the bond. But that doesn't change the fact that the way you love somebody can completely be different from the way they love you.
Yeah. It's completely different. Like, if someone unconditionally loves you, but you don't unconditionally love them,
That's the thing.
that's different perspectives.
But-
like, different perspectives of what life is giving you in front of you.
Do you think that we're like missing what you think? We're like, go ahead. Like,
Because you can love so much. So, Lerret, let's say I unconditionally love you,
Right.
but you looking at me like, bitch, I don't love you.
Right. Right.
I agree with what y'all are saying. Like, unconditional love can come from one party and not but from the other.
Mhm.
But I feel like
I guess for
I feel
love
like
to be
what
there,
I'm-
there needs to be a connection. That's what y'all trying to say?
I feel like for unconditional love to work within a relationship, it needs to be agreed on by both. I'm not saying that unconditional love can't exist within one person for another, but I'm saying for unconditional love to be able to survive and thrive between two people, it needs to exist between both people. Like, you both need to agree that that's what y'all want. Does
But
that not?
no,
Is that making
I mean, I know it makes sense. It's just that I
Makes
don't
sense.
agree.
I don't think
Only
that's
because,
true.
you're saying like the only way unconditional
for it
love
to be
will work
preserved?
is. But see, that's the thing,
Between
because
the-
in
between
order
the
for you to
parties.
say that, like, that means that the love would be conditional. Because if I have unconditional love, even if you're doing things that don't fulfill me or sustain the relationship, I still love you no matter what.
So do you
Even though
think-
you're treating me like a piece of shit, I still love you the same.
So do you think that people, then this is making me really examine myself and really question whether as a person, like, I can only love someone or everyone conditionally.
And I think that's very possible,
valid.
and that's okay. I think
That's
that most
you.
for, like, I don't know, like, see, with my mother, like, I feel like I love her unconditionally, but I mean, if she tried to kill me, all right, bitch, hold on, I don't know if I love you the same. You would,
But you see,
but
that's
it's
an
like,
extreme thought. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
but it's like, I guess
Unless, under
So
certain
can a person just in general, like, can you as a person be conditional or unconditional?
yes.
A person can unconditionally love you. Or
No,
conditionally
but
love
I mean
you.
in terms of all relationships.
Yes,
Yes, that's
yes,
all
you can. Or you can
relationships.
decide that everybody I love
Be like,
It's gonna be
is
fuck
yes,
you.
like, everybody I love has to do this or has to respect me in this way. That's you know what I'm saying? Like, you have conditions, and if people don't meet that, they don't deserve your love. That's a thing, and I think that's valid. And I think that I'm kind of one of those people. Like, I can
That's
love
really
you
making-
unconditionally to a certain extent, which I guess is not unconditional, because I love you no matter what. But not no matter what, you know. Once we start
Yeah.
getting into certain things, you're breaking that code. Like, there's
My-
certain things that make all
My
bets
morale,
off.
right?
Yeah.
My morals.
Yeah.
I
So
just
yeah, you can be generally
This is
conditional or
powerful.
unconditional.
This is powerful.
But yeah. So I mean, I can end by saying that
Love is a condition.
love is
or not.
love is something that everybody needs to keep themselves going, so everybody feels like they matter. But I think that love is always changing. Love can sometimes be temporary, and love can be conditional and unconditional, but it's a matter of what you value as a person and what you need as a person. If you don't need much, then maybe you're able to love people as they are and take people as they are. But if you're a type of person that has boundaries and has demands for what you want and what you need in your life, then you can assign conditions. And that's where I leave mine.
That's good, because
That
that
is-
was fucking good. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
And you just wrapped
Snap,
up everything
snap.
that just happened.
That's that,
In 1
bitch.
minute.
That was the truth.
Oh my god, these will make some bomb ass bloopers.
Bloopers? Yeah, right. Anybody else?
Love this. This is what you call empowerment.
Empowerment.
This
And
is
like true self-reflection, like you really
yes.
examine how
You think about how you think.
Yeah.
So, this has been another great episode of Lerret Gets Real. I'm your host, Lerret Jackson, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.